Hey guys, welcome back to r/Entitledpeople. In this video, a trespassing Karen gets tased after trying to steal my classic car. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. The first one is titled, "Am I the a-hole for setting up a hidden camera to catch whoever is trespassing and reporting me to my HOA?" So I've been dealing with HOA drama for over a year now and I am at my wit's end. My family moved into this neighborhood about 3 years ago. We loved the area, good schools for the kids, decent commute to work, and the house itself was perfect for our needs. The only big downside was the homeowners association, but we figured it would not be a big deal since we are generally neat people who take care of our property. But boy, was I wrong. The trouble started about a year ago when we received our first violation notice about an overgrown area in our yard. The letter included a $250 fine and a stern reminder to maintain our property according to so-called community standards. I was confused because we regularly mow the lawn and keep things tidy. After inspecting our yard, I realized they were referring to a small vine plant growing between our two AC condensers on the side of the house. Here is the thing, this plant is practically invisible from any public view. Our neighbor's house sits very close to ours on that side, blocking any view from the street. The front and back views are blocked by the AC units themselves. The only way someone could even see this plant would be by physically stepping onto our property or possibly our neighbor's property and peering into that specific spot. I immediately trimmed back the vine and tried to uproot as much as I could. I actually do care about keeping it under control since it can grow into the condenser units and affect their function. Problem solved, right? Well, you would be wrong to say that. 2 months later, another violation notice arrived. Same issue, same fine. I was baffled. I went out to check and sure enough, the vine had grown back a bit, but it was still not visible from any public area. I trimmed it again, more aggressively this time. This cycle has continued for a full year now. Every couple of months, like clockwork, we get hit with another $250 fine for this supposedly overgrown area that no one should be even able to see without trespassing. After the 4th violation, I went to the HOA office to speak with the property manager. "I would like to understand how these violations are being identified," I said, showing her the latest notice. "This plant is not even visible from any public area." She shuffled through some papers. "We received a complaint from a resident with photographic evidence." "Well, may I see those photos?" I asked. "I'm afraid that's confidential," she replied with a practiced smile. "But I can assure you they clearly show the violation." "But how would anyone get those photos without coming onto my property?" I pressed. She shrugged. "Perhaps they have a good zoom lens or maybe they noticed it while walking past. Regardless, the violation stands." After that frustrating exchange, I started investigating on my own. I asked my immediate neighbors if they had noticed any issues with our yard. Most were surprised to hear about the violations, and the neighbor whose house blocks the view of the vine area is an elderly gentleman who barely leaves his home, let alone reports people to the HOA. However, one neighbor mentioned the HOA enforcer, a woman 3 houses down known for patrolling the neighborhood looking for violations. And by the way, that sounds like a bounty hunter or something. Maybe she is the homegrown HOA punisher or something. Anyway, apparently she takes her duty to maintain property values very seriously and has reported numerous residents over the years. "She's got a reputation," my neighbor whispered. "Some people think she comes onto properties to get better photos for her reports." Well, that is when I decided I needed evidence of this. If someone was really trespassing on my property to report a violation that could not otherwise be seen, then of course I wanted to know. Not only was it an invasion of privacy, but it was costing us $250 each time. So I purchased a small weatherproof security camera and installed it discreetly at the corner of my house with a clear view of the area around the AC units. I did not tell anyone about it except my wife, who supported the idea but worried that it might escalate tensions. "Just be careful," she warned me. If it is her, confronting her directly might make things even worse. Well, for 2 weeks, nothing happened, and then on a Saturday morning, while we were out grocery shopping, the camera caught something. When we reviewed the footage that evening, my jaw dropped. There she was, a woman in her 50s with short blonde hair and sunglasses, working purposefully into our side yard. She went straight to the AC units, took several photos of the vine, which had barely regrown, and then left. She was not a member of the HOA board that I recognized, just a resident who had apparently appointed herself neighborhood watchdog. "That is definitely trespassing," my wife said, looking shocked. "What are you gonna do?" I thought carefully about my options. I could confront her directly, but that might lead to even more targeted harassment. I could report her to the police for trespassing, but that seemed excessive for a first offense. And no guys, just to intervene, if this happens to you, it is not excessive to call the police here. This first offense is the beginning of something awful, especially when you live in an HOA and you don't want people to bully you. Just take a stand immediately. Anyway, instead I decided to take the evidence to the HOA board meeting the following week, and at the meeting I waited until the open forum portion and then raised my hand. I would like to discuss the repeated violations I've received regarding a plant between my AC units. I began. Specifically, I'm concerned about how these violations are actually being discovered. The HOA board president nodded. "Go ahead." I connected my laptop to the projector and played the video. Well, as you can see here, someone is entering my property without permission to take photos for these reports. The plant in question is not even visible from any public area, which raises concerns about how these violations are actually being enforced here. The room fell silent. A few gasps could be heard when the woman clearly walked onto my property. I noticed one woman in the back, whom I recognized from the video, turning bright red. Furthermore, I continued, I've consulted with a lawyer who confirmed that this constitutes trespassing. The HOA bylaws don't give any resident the right to enter private property to look for violations. If this continues, I'll be forced to take legal action, both against the individual trespassing and potentially the entire HOA for encouraging or even enabling this behavior. The board president cleared his throat. Well, we certainly don't condone trespassing. All violation reports should be based on observations from public areas or the reporter's own property. And by the way, guys, just as a side note, is anyone else reminded of Eastern Germany by these HOAs? This reporting other people for your own benefit, and especially reporting them to some authority figure, seems awfully familiar. Anyway, then I request that all previous fines for this issue be refunded, I said firmly. They were clearly based on improperly obtained evidence. After some discussion, the board agreed to review the matter. 2 days later, I received an email stating that the previous fines would be credited to my account and that the board would be issuing a community-wide reminder about property boundaries and proper reporting procedures. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. The following weekend, the camera caught the same woman entering our property again. This time, she seemed to be looking for something specific, presumably the camera, which I had hidden very well. She took more photos of the vine area and then left. At this point, I was furious. I printed a still frame from the video showing her clearly trespassing and wrote a letter formally demanding she stay off my property. I placed it in her mailbox with a note saying that I had video evidence of multiple trespassing incidents and would not hesitate to pursue legal action if it happened again. 3 days later, I found an envelope in my mailbox and inside was a handwritten note. "I'm simply trying to maintain property values in this neighborhood. Your overgrown yard affects all of us. Someone needs to uphold standards." And yes, there was no apology, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, just self-righteous justification straight out of North Korea. So that is when I decided to take more serious action. I reported the trespassing to the police and showed them the video evidence I had. They then agreed to speak with her about the matter. I also sent a formal cease and desist letter, drafted with help from a lawyer friend, warning of legal consequences if she entered my property again. I included printed screenshots from both trespassing incidents. For good measure, I installed a more obvious security camera near the AC units with a clear video surveillance sign. I figured if she was gonna snoop, she should know that she was being recorded. The police visit seemed to have an impact. According to another neighbor, she was furious about being reported, but has since stopped her patrols of our section of the neighborhood. It's been 3 months now without any HOA violation notices. The vine still occasionally grows back and I still trim it regularly, but no more fines have appeared. The woman avoids eye contact when we cross paths in the neighborhood now, and last week I learned from another neighbor that she's been reported to the HOA herself for actually having unauthorized landscaping changes in her front yard. Apparently, several residents who had been targeted by her in the past decided to start paying closer attention to her own property. Karma, I suppose. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for setting up a hidden camera and taking these steps against my neighbor? I feel justified in protecting my property from trespassers and fighting unjust fines. But some family members think I went too far with the police report and the formal legal warning. They say I should have tried to resolve things more amicably. What do you think? Did I overreact or was I right to stand my ground? And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Do you think OP went too far or was what he did just right? And by the way, the part about the camera actually deterring people from trespassing, I think that's very true because we have had stories before where people even install fake security cameras, and sometimes that is already enough to deter people from coming onto your property because they are scared to get recorded. Either way, comment number 1 from Reddit said, absolutely not the a-hole. She was trespassing on your property repeatedly to report something that could not even be seen from public areas. You gave her multiple chances to stop, brought it to the HOA's attention first and only escalated when she continued her behavior. So not only were her actions illegal, but they were costing you real money. Good for you for standing up to HOA bullying. Comment number 2, not the a-hole. HOA horror stories like this are exactly why I refuse to live in one. You handled this perfectly, documented everything, followed proper channels, and escalated appropriately when she would not stop. $250 fines for a plan nobody can see? That's absurd. She got exactly what she deserved. Comment number 3, absolutely you are the a-hole and I cannot believe people are defending you. Hidden cameras, police reports? Seriously? Look, when you signed those HOA documents, you basically agreed to play by the rules like everyone else in the neighborhood. That little invisible vine you keep whining about? Yeah, it's still against the rules whether you can see it from the street or not. The lady was just doing what someone in the community needs to do, which is keeping people accountable. Without heroes like her, neighborhoods would fall apart in like 5 minutes flat. Trust me, I've seen it happen. My cousin lived in a non-HOA neighborhood and within 6 months someone painted their house bright purple with yellow trim. Is that what you want? And let's be real, you knew exactly what you were getting into when you moved there. Don't act all shocked Pikachu face when the rules actually get enforced. If you hate HOA so much, go buy a farm in the middle of nowhere where you can grow all the vines you want. The fact that you went nuclear with cameras and lawyers instead of just fixing the damn vine properly is exactly why HOAs need to exist in the first place. People like you who think rules don't apply to them are the worst neighbors. Grow up and just comply like everyone else. And yes guys, clearly that is the solution. Just grow up and comply like everyone else, follow the rules, don't question anything. What a ridiculous comment. Either way, let's continue with the title's story. It is titled, Trespasser Karen Gets Tased After Trying to Steal My Classic Car. And by the way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to like the video because that would help me tremendously. And by the way, if you see any AI channels on the right getting recommended to you, please click on the 3 dots and then click on Do Not Recommend Channel. This helps the entire real YouTube community. Otherwise, soon at some point, YouTube might get taken over by AI channels. So I've always been a fan of classic cars. My town has a few shows during the summer where people bring their cars out to venues with large lots where they are shown off. I admit that I moved to where I lived because of the car shows, and a part of me hoped that maybe being close to so many, I would finally have the chance to get one for myself at some point. And yes, I eventually did. It took me close to a decade, but I saved up and was able to get a 1971 Chevy Chevelle. It needed a little work, but it took me a year to have it restored to as close as possible to its full glory. I'm very proud of it and take it out for a spin during car shows. I've even been asked to be a part of local parades with it, and most of the time though, it stays in my garage except when I take it out on the driveway to clean it up before a show. And sadly, that is where Karen comes in. So I've lived where I live for a good 15 years and I never encountered someone in my neighborhood as pushy as Karen. I'm changing her name, but you would think it was her name by the way she acted. She was absolutely obsessed with my car. I could not tell you why. I had asked her what it was about my car that she was so interested in, but she never gave me a clear answer. I remember trying to be polite at one point when she came up my driveway and started touching my car while I was washing it, and I asked her to leave. Karen, you don't have to be so rude about it. It's a gorgeous car, I just wanted to admire it. Me, and I'm sure this seems very crass but oh well, you can admire it from the bottom of my driveway, ma'am. Karen, do you drive it often? I feel like it could do with getting out on the road for a bit. Me, please get off my driveway and away from my car. It took maybe another 2 minutes of coaxing her away before she realized that I was serious about her getting off my property, but she eventually left, at least for the day. It was like she knew whenever I was taking it out to clean it, even if there wasn't another show at the time, and she just had to try and touch it. At one point, she offered to buy it from me. "Karen, I'm sure I could give that car far more care than you're giving it now. I will double the price of what you paid for it." Me, no deal. "Karen, if I cannot buy it from you, is there any way that you would be willing to let me drive it for a few minutes?" Me, "Lady, I've told you several times that I don't want you near my car and I'm not gonna let you drive it either." Karen, "But..." Me, "Get off my property or I will call the cops." The last time she tried to get on my property was on a Thursday and I'd had the fortune of working from home. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have seen her pull up into my driveway and attempt to strong-arm her way into my garage. I was so close to calling the police after I chased her off, but a part of me hoped that would have been the last time she tried to do something like that. I was very wrong. That Saturday, I came home from a family dinner to see Karen's car parked in front of my driveway. She was not in the car, but I could see that there was something wrong with my garage door. There was a tilt to it. Someone had taken it off its track and lifted the one corner up and did not put it back on the track. I tried to open the door with my opener, but it got stuck about halfway up the track. I could see someone's legs through the opening the door made, and I figured it was Karen. I headed up the driveway and dove under the opening door, made to see Karen standing by my car with the keys. The keys to the car were not in the garage, but in the hallway that went from the garage to my house, so that meant that Karen had found a way to unlock the door to my house in order to steal the keys to my car. Looking back in hindsight, I don't know how she thought she was gonna get out of the garage with how badly she had mucked up my door. "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" I just wanted to look at it. Maybe take it for a test drive." "I told you no. What the F are you thinking? Trying to steal my car?" "Karen, I'm not stealing it. I would just be borrowing it for a few hours. You know how much I wanted to drive it." "And you thought stealing my keys was the way to do it? Are you actually insane?" "Karen, you can trust me. I would return it without a scratch on her. I just want to ride in her once." I think we looked at each other for a good minute before I tried to grab the keys from her. I was just taken aback by how bold she was to actually trespass on my property to try and steal a car that she could not even drive out of the garage. When Karen dodged me, I pulled out my phone and called the police. That seemed to irritate her even more, and I tried to corner her while I was explaining to the 911 operator that I was trying to keep Karen in one place so that she didn't do any more damage to my property or try to steal my car. This went on for nearly half an hour, and when we heard the sirens from the police cruiser outside the garage, Karen panicked. I'm not a small guy, I'm 6 foot tall and work out often, but when Karen all but rammed me while trying to get out of the garage, I had the wind knocked out of me. I hit my head on the garage door and had to get my bearings back before I could follow her outside. An officer caught me when I was ducked down to get out of the garage and asked if I was okay. I would like to think I nodded before I passed out, but I blacked out before anything happened. When I woke up, I was on my lawn, the officer holding an ice pack to the back of my neck and someone screaming in pain. I was able to focus and saw that Karen was also on the ground, a taser to her back courtesy of another officer. The officer that was with me filled me in, telling me that Karen had run outside the garage and started screaming about me, keeping her from her car. The officer had attempted to calm her down, but she was too riled up and tried to push him, which then led to her getting tasered. I told the officers that I was the owner of the property and Karen had my car keys and had broken into my garage and my house to actually get them. She then was arrested, coming to when they got her in the back of their squad car, and I called up a friend to take me to a hospital to make sure I did not have a concussion. I did not, but I had a goose egg on the back of my head that made it hard to sleep for a few weeks. I of course pressed charges on Karen for what she did, and she was slapped with additional charges of assault and battery on a police officer. I did not have any video evidence, but the officer's car and their uniforms caught Karen attempting to push the officer and when I passed out. I testified about Karen's constant trespassing and went over the story of how she tried to steal my car, providing photos of the damage she did to my garage and to the door into my house, which she had forced open, cracking the door frame. It took a few months, but eventually she was found guilty and I got a settlement for the damage she had inflicted on my home. She also had some time behind bars, which was not unexpected. And before we end the video, we will read one last story from r/petty revenge. It is titled, "Cause an accident because you're too special to wait in line? That's cool, I'll be a witness for the other driver's insurance." So I have to make a left turn at an intersection where the line to make that turn backs up at least half a mile every workday. It is about a 50-minute wait when it's bad and about 10 minutes in normal traffic. A lot of people skip that line and cut off drivers who wait patiently to turn. It gets hazardous when those same idiots literally force their way into the turn lane regardless of another vehicle already existing in that space. Early last week, some idiot literally just shouldered my car out of the way. They actually saw me, they heard my horn, they kept merging. I avoided that accident and carried along with my day, although I was incredibly irritated about it. 3 days later, some idiot tries the same thing on the truck behind me. A woman in a mid-sized sedan decided that she was getting in the left turn lane, come hell or high water. Unfortunately for her, the lane was merging into was already occupied by a full-size pickup. She probably would have realized that if she had looked where she was going, but she didn't. She hit the truck, of course. It damaged her car, of course. Nothing major, just knocked her mirror off. I watched the whole thing because that truck was directly behind me. Her head never turned. She was looking straight ahead as she collided with that truck. Something about her body language and the fact that she pulled her phone out to record the truck after the accident she caused told me that she was a Karen. I knew she was gonna lie her rear off to avoid any fault. Now for my tiny bit of petty revenge, I gave the truck driver my cell number, told him I saw it all, and offered to share my observations with the cops or insurance company. And this was not the same car that almost hit me earlier in the week, but it was the same entitled BS attitude. The truck driver's insurance called me the next day, and I told them exactly what I saw. It was enough information to exonerate the truck driver and put fault on the idiot in the sedan. I don't know what happened after that call, and I really don't care. I got my petty revenge against one of those idiot drivers. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.